All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Kops Office Hours this week. My name is Mike, and I will be your moderator. Just as a reminder, this is being recorded. This is open to the public and will be posted on YouTube hopefully later today or soon. And, we abide by the Kubernetes community policies and best practices and community meeting guidelines. So please be respectful to each other. And with that, we will kick off the meeting. So the way we generally take this is we have our agenda. If you do not have the agenda in front of you, we will throw it in there real quick into Zoom. I don't have my Zoom open, so here I am in Slacker. And you can also take a look in our Slack channel, which will often throw a few links and comments in there as well. And I guess first thing on the agenda is me. Great. So I threw this comment in there earlier this week when I was on my couch looking at Reddit and saw someone complaining about their cluster is effed and they were using kops. I was just like, all right, let's take a look at this. We got to look good on the Kubernetes Slack the Kubernetes Reddit. So they thought it was related to this other Kubernetes issue, which I mean, it almost seems like this Kubernetes issue or kops issue has become somewhat of a catch-all of a cluster. Nodes not joining a cluster. There's so many reasons that can be. So I was trying to help them figure out what was happening. The best thing I can figure is that someone at their company used the new version of kops and didn't realize it, and kind of a collision there of kops versions, Kubernetes versions, and someone having updated something, but never really got to the bottom of it. I don't know if anyone has any comments. I just wanted to throw it in there in case it jumped out to anyone that it could have been related to the 111.10 enforcement. As Justin pointed out on there, I don't think it is as well, but I just kind of as a food for thought thing. I don't know if anyone has any comments.
The only thing I can think of from that is, should we be trying to version our kops spec files so that if someone tries to use an older version than was recently used, we don't let them, so that we don't get into this situation possibly?
We do have an issue for that. I know that a few people have mentioned that to me before as well, of at least, obviously we could let them go backwards, but kind of a first pass, a stop, like, hey, by the way, this cluster's already been applied, let's say 114, and you're trying to run 112, bad things might happen, and then, give them a flag to work around it, but I personally have never gotten time to implement it. I don't know about anyone else having feelings on that.
I think that's a good idea. Like that sort of thing is the right way to approach this problem. Like, I think we should probably look at this particular issue and identify some things and break them out and then close it, because otherwise it's just like, as you say, like I didn't even see this, and it will otherwise just like add on to an issue which is otherwise sort of pretty old. I like the idea of like warning people somehow if they regress on their kops version or mix their kops version. I like the idea of like maybe doing a diagnostic dump, like if validate fails. I don't know. I presume that's what, yeah. Like I guess it would just be a diagnostic dump command, which is like SSH to all the nodes and try to run the commands which we ask people to run. We could probably like script.
Yeah, agreed.
It does look like they mix their versions, which I think shouldn't normally be such a problem, except I think the 112, it looks like they were running, they crossed the 112 barrier, which I think was the real problem.
That's what I'm doing. Something along that route.
Even so, it should be controlled by the Kubernetes version, not by the kops version. So I can at least test what happens and see if I made a mistake or something there where like 114 or whatever just doesn't work correctly with 111. But
Yeah, at first when I saw it, I just was like, wait, did cops 111 and 110 just break? So I went and downloaded an old version, spun up a 110 or 111 cluster or whatever, and everything still worked fine. So it's like, at least it's not like some sort of crazy regression and, you know, images going missing or something. So
yeah, like they changed the hash format, but yeah, it shouldn't. They've just added. It shouldn't have broken anything old. There was the CentOS thing, but it doesn't look like the CentOS thing, where CentOS moved some files around on us, which is frustrating.
all right, cool. All right, so moving on then. Peter, you look like you have the next one.
Yeah, I was looking into some Proud tests failing, and I noticed that we don't have logs for the new kops controller in the Proud job artifacts. And I'm wondering, you know, currently our kubesys or our static pods that we create, their command is a T that appends to a var log, you know, a log file in var log on the host using a host path mount. I'm wondering if we should do the same for the kops.
I think we probably should. We actually the latest versions of Klog support an easier thing than that horrific like horrible thing, so we don't have to do that. But yes, it would be great to do the spirit of it anyway, where we just like append to a log file on the host path. In theory, like it would be good to get more of these pod logs in anyway. But yeah, I guess that like these are actually like really special cases, and we should keep them on the host path. Like if particularly as we add more stuff into that controller, it will become, I imagine it will become more of an equivalent of ProtoCube, but just sort of an easier way to run ProtoCube. But yeah, do you want to take that on?
I can try to take it, yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, I can do the test info slide if it's not obvious how that works. I honestly can't remember how it works. I might just collect them all, but it's probably just a list. Honestly, I don't remember, but if you need help on that, let me know.
Yeah, I think that link that I put in has the list of log files that it looks for on.
Of course, so it's just a list. Okay, that's great.
All right, cool. And I think, Peter, you have the next one as well, 3 PRs to take a look at.
Yeah, these are mostly pretty minor. Just some outstanding stuff I'd like to get merged sometime soon. So that's it.
All right, great. Any comments on those? Yeah, VPC CNI upgrade, that looks standard. Yeah, I can take a look at some of these too.
Cool, thank you.
Yep. All right, and last but not least, Peter again.
Yeah, so more end-to-end testing stuff in Prow. Just seeing how we create clusters for end-to-end tests. We're mostly doing it using kind of assembling the command line flags that we pass to kops create cluster. And some of the more advanced functionality in kops doesn't support flags. You need to provide a manifest, a cluster manifest. So I'm wondering if there would be a way for us to provide cluster manifests to the ETE jobs.
Can you give an example of what functionality you're thinking of?
So one of them would be like the mixed instance groups. So where the ASGs have multiple instance types. That's something that can only provide. I know we have the, like the set flag that lets you to specify arbitrary fields in the manifest, but they need to be explicitly supported in kops. So just wondering if there'd be an easier way to test.
I don't currently know of an easier way than plumbing it through the set. And I think it would be great to make that so that like it was more, I think we've established a grammar for that. So to make it not have to be hard coded, but it is also super tempting to just keep adding them, and they will eventually become unit tests. So if you want to just add another one, I think that's absolutely fine. I think, yeah, if you invent any new syntax, then we have to look at it more closely. But if you're just going to like take the existing syntax and extend it to thumb through instance type, I think that instance type should be there, right?
Yeah, I think if there's an additional like mixed instance,
Oh, it's a different field. Okay.
that you specify
Yeah.
additional ones.
All right.
Okay, I can work on adding more fields to the set plumbing.
Yeah, I just I don't know of a way in Prow to specify a file, so I don't see how we would do any. We can specify flags, but as far as I know, we can't specify files. So, I mean, we could always like put them in a bucket somewhere, but that feels like they will not be happy about that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, and to our final item that we should probably go over the roadmap. Should we, Justin, do you think we should review the releases and the release stuff before jumping to the roadmap piece?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Well, as I imagine most of the 5 of us on this call are aware, Kops 114 shipped. Thank you everyone for your hard work and all the PRs and the cherry picks, and Justin specifically for doing all the release cutting and everything, and Peter had a ton of fantastic commits and PRs, and everyone's helped. Guy, you had a bunch as well, and Rodrigo, you were always around kicking butt, doing a lot of great work for us. So thank you everyone for all your hard work on that as well. Up in the next couple of weeks, we have Kops 115 Beta 1 hopefully cut, 116 Alpha 1 with a few PRs that are holding it up, it looks like. And then promoting some AMIs from alpha to stable, and promoting Kubernetes versions from alpha to stable. The one, I guess since we last chatted, was the ELB bug in Kops or Kubernetes 114.7. That ELB support basically breaks on service load balancers. So just as a kind of a heads up to everyone, let's encourage people not to use 114.7 at the moment. Wait for 114.8. 114.6 is perfectly fine, which is what we're recommending users use now. So on at least in alpha.
Is 114.8 out?
I don't think so yet. I think the plan was to cut it today.
Okay, because we do have a mechanism. I haven't actually seen this one. I don't know if we have a mechanism to force or encourage people onto a newer version. I don't think we have a mechanism to skip one particular minor version.
Yeah.
So we could tell people, yeah, that's tricky.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a bunch of people were pushing to get a new version cut. And so I tried to jump in and say, we know it's hard to cut a new version of Kubernetes. So why don't we just get a release note saying that this is a known issue and, kind of solve it socially if we can. Try to avoid using it, and then 114.8 will be out hopefully today, Monday, I would imagine. I guess personally, my one I wanted to jump on was the Kops 115 beta. Do we have any blockers going towards beta, or cutting towards a stable release that anyone's aware of? Cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to sit it in, let it bake in beta for a bit, but since 115 is not many significant changes and 116 has quite a few, it might be beneficial for us to get 115 going sooner, and then we can put a ton of effort into 116 and let that one really good. So at least that's my thoughts at the moment. If anyone else has any thoughts.
That sounds great. And we can also cut 116 and do things for 117.
Hey, that'd be great. We just got to get the kops controller working across the board, right?
Yes, so actually I think this one, there's a debate about the release notes, which I think is important. I think the status is without kops controller support, the masters are still labeled with the correct node role because that's needed for Bootstrap, but the nodes will not be. So it's not perfect, but it is not terrible. Like most people are probably not deliberately steering workloads to node roles. But I do think that to nodes, if they are steering, they're steering to masters, I would imagine. But I do think we also have broken, I do think it breaks any custom labels, custom Kubernetes labels on instance groups. So that is probably the bigger one that does break.
All right, cool. And with that, maybe now we move on to the roadmap. Justin, do you want to take that?
Yes, thank you. So the SIG cluster lifecycle is going to present a roadmap on all the SIG cluster lifecycle subprojects at KubeCon North America in November, next month. Wow. And we should basically figure out what our roadmap should look like, or what we want to put on our roadmap. I have personally added the items which I think I'm going to try to work on over the next foreseeable imminent future. And if people want to add other items or tell me that other items are important or other things are unimportant or anything like that, then please feel free to do so. But I am in the 117 timeframe, which is like the next 2 to 3 months. I would like to get add-on operators, or our first add-on operator going, at least. I'm going to move this down a bit. Some more work on secure by default, looking at node bootstrap tokens, like basically taking the great work done on the AWS node authorizer and extending it to other clouds. I'm able to do GCE, but I would probably need help on OpenStack. But this shouldn't be that different from what we have done to date, which is what we've already have to do. It should be a very similar flow. Basically, you have an IP and you sort of, or at least an IP, maybe some other stuff if you have access to it, and you try to like decide whether this machine is allowed to join. Maybe some, yeah, so I think maybe I can go into kops controller now, so I'm debating doing that. And then I'd like maybe to try to get in some early or feature gated support for using cluster API for nodes, or in addition, well, not for masters anyway, not replacing the existing functionality, but that you could have a kops instance group that is backed by cluster API. And then in 118, I would look at like, or probably in the 118 type horizon, I would look at like, can we use it for masters as well? And can we actually like bring up a whole cluster that way? Can we go 100% server side, or support a mode where we run 100% server side? And yeah, I think also containerd, I'd like to try to get that in because yes, Docker, then maybe some of these Docker things will go, Docker problems will go away a little bit. And I'm going to try to do that via like a tar installation rather than using OS packages. But that's my personal roadmap. And if other people want to add things or comment or anything, please do. Looks like there are some comments already on the, yes, on the deprecated. Oh no, sorry, this is a sys benchmark, I think. So yes, there is some more work we could do on the sys benchmark, some of which are surprising.
I need to find my list. I have a list of stuff that I was going to work on in the next few months too. The one I'm really hoping to close out is the documentation stuff that I started, the website. So I don't necessarily have a timeline for that, but I was going to try to get that merged soon and then start, getting a public site up for us for that.
All right, more work on docs.
Yeah. Perfect. with that, does anyone else have any other comments, questions, concerns, roadmap items, release items, Friday stresses? Nothing?
I mean Docker, but I'm excited for the Container D. Yeah, one thing, I'm finally going to get around to finding some time to actually doing work for capacity optimized, getting that done, because for us, we want to get that in before Black Friday for obvious reasons, to try and improve the resiliency of spot instances. So I should have something by the time next office hours come around. Shouldn't be a difficult one. So.
That's great. Yeah, we'd love that. Thank you. All right. Well, without further ado, unless anyone has anything else, I guess we can call it. Thank you for coming to today's office hours. Give everyone back 33 minutes of your time. Have a good Friday.
Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks,
See
bye.
ya.